Gentlemen, what is going on today? My name is Ryan Mickler. I'm the host and the founder of the Order of Man podcast and movement, and I want to welcome you here. If you're viewing this on YouTube, you can see we got some minor changes to the way the camera and studio is set up. I've been playing around with technology, audio, video equipment. I got a little dashboard or something over here that will allow us to use multiple cameras. So we're trying to build this thing out a little better. Want to thank you for your support in this movement. And also, speaking of support, we just did our huge giveaway, partnered up with Origin, Sornex, Montana Knife Company. Of course, I gave away a signed copy of Sovereignty. Guys, we had over 1,400 podcast ratings and reviews come in over the past week. So I want to thank you for doing that. I want to thank you for supporting the movement and what we're doing here. And I'm very grateful for that. With that said, guys, want to get into the conversation today. I'm going to talk with you about how to build a digital brand, building a digital brand. This is very important, especially in today's society and modern world, with all of the advancements in technology and the ability to connect with other people, unlike we ever have. There's many of you men who are very interested in building out your digital brand. So I've come up with a few pointers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different pointers that I've incorporated in my own life that have helped me to really get this movement on track and grow it into the global phenomenon that it's becoming. Sounds a little funny to say global phenomenon, but it's true. At this point, we've reached so many different countries. We've reached millions and millions of men across the planet. And it's my intent to continue to build this out even further using the very same tips that I'm going to share with you today and the same tips that I've used throughout my past journey of doing this. So let's just jump right into it. Number one, and guys, these aren't in any particular order, but number one is to niche down your audience. And I talk with a lot of guys who say things like, I want to help people. I really care about people. I just want people to win. And I honor that. I respect that. I want to help people too. But if you're so broad and generalized in what it is you want to do and how you want to serve people, really at the end of the day, you're not going to reach anybody effectively, because the people who could have otherwise been impacted greatly by the work that you would do are not going to tune into you, because your message is so watered down and it applies broadly to everybody that nobody's going to be interested in at all. If, on the other hand, you said, well, Ryan, I really want to work with doctors, or I really want to work with, in our case, men specifically, or I want to work even more niched fathers, or even more niched single fathers, you might be limiting the amount of people that you can reach, but the people you are reaching are going to be that much more vested in what you're doing because you're talking specifically to them. And so one of the greatest mistakes that people make when it comes to starting a digital brand is they think, I just need to appeal to everybody so I can cast my net the widest. Well, if you cast that net as wide as you can, but there's huge gaps in it, the fish are just going to swim right through it. You're not going to catch those fish. So what I want you to do is make a tighter net that's going to cast over a more specific area, knowing that of the fish that are there, you're going to catch those people. And that's what we've done with the Order of Man brand, is that first and foremost, I eliminated roughly 50% of the population because I said, I'm not interested in making this an organization that speaks directly to women. Now, ironically enough, we have a lot of women who do listen. These are single mothers. These are women who are gaining value from what it is we do. And that's all fine and great, but I don't speak to them specifically. All right. I'm talking specifically to men, and therefore more men are going to resonate because I'm using words and concepts and phrases and terminology that resonates with you. I'm also using marketing, from our hats or our shirts or our icons and our logos and our images that are going to apply to my niche audience, not just everybody. I do the same thing when it comes to my own personal life, whether it's hunting or archery or jujitsu or the things that I'm involved in. You guys resonate with that. Those are the same things that you're interested in as well. So this is a very valuable strategy. It's niching down, and it's one that way too many people overlook because they're consumed with casting the biggest net. Guys, it doesn't work. And know that you really don't need everybody in the world, 8 billion people on the planet. You need like 1,000. That's all you need. If you have 1,000 raving fans, you're going to make great money. You're going to have a deep impact with these individuals, and you're going to ultimately live the life that you want. All right. Number two, along the same lines as niching, is you have to have something unique to say. If the things that you share are watered down versions of what somebody else said, why in the world are they going to tune into you when they can turn into that person who has been saying it for longer, has a bit bigger audience, says it better maybe than you initially? There's no reason for them to tune into you. So don't just take information and regurgitate it. Now, you might think that that's what I personally do. And I do draw inspiration and concepts and ideas from outside windows and perspectives and people, but I put enough of my own spin, my own flavor on it, that it becomes mine in a way. And I make those concepts mine, or I make them order of man concepts. But I don't ever shy away from confrontation. I don't ever shy away from saying something boldly. I don't ever shy away from standing by my convictions. And over the past 7 years, a lot of the reason that we've had the growth that we've had is because I believe it's refreshing to men who are so used to hearing people water down their brand, water down what they say, regurgitate a bunch of things that other people say, and not come up with anything new or clever or exciting or controversial. So have something truly unique to say. Now, a lot of you will say, well, what I am saying is unique. Well, you don't get to determine that. Okay. The people that get to determine that is the audience. It's your niche. It's the people you're trying to connect with. Those are the best resources of feedback. Cause I'll hear a lot of guys say, well, Ryan, I add so much value and the things I say are so unique and everybody loves it. I'm like, really, show me your numbers. And the numbers just don't support that claim, which means you think more highly of your product than other people do, which is fine. That's to be expected. You should think highly of what you're putting out into the world. But if other people aren't resonating, you've got to figure out why that's the case. And more often than not, it's because your messaging is wrong. It's off. What you're actually getting at may not be wrong, but the way that you're delivering it, the way that you're presenting it isn't fun. It isn't interesting. It isn't unique. It isn't engaging. And so don't take that personally. Just go back to the drawing board and figure out a more compelling way to say it so that you can actually have a difference with the people you care about and the people you want to lead and the people that you want to serve. All right. Number 3, guys, I've talked about this at length. Become a master networker. It is so crucial that you learn how to network with other people. We've been very, very fortunate over the past 7 years to build out an absolutely incredibly powerful network of men who are interesting and unique and influential and successful. And that comes on the heels of all of the work me and my team have done to ensure that we're connecting with the right people, that we're adding value to their lives, that we're being valuable to them, that we're letting them know how important they are to ourselves and the work that we do here. We include, we gift, we share, we promote. Whatever I can do to help those men in my corner, the better off all of us are going to be. You do have to be very careful of gaming this stuff, because I want you to know that I'm not gaming it. When I talk about Origin, for example, or Sornex or Montana Knife Company, or any of these organizations that I work with and have an affinity with, I'm not gaming it. Okay. I'm not trying to give them something with the anticipation or hope that they'll give me something in return. These are people I truly care about. And that's what's going to make you a great networker. If you're there just to game something, you're just trying to get from all these individuals, you're going to have not as much success. If, on the other hand, you truly care about them, you listen to what these companies need, you listen for the problems they have, you listen to the solutions they provide, and you start making connections, or you have them on your podcast, or you gift them something that's going to be valuable to them in their lives, it's going to happen inevitably. You're going to make yourself indispensable. People are going to like being around you. They're going to want to support you because they know how much you support them. Montana Knife Company comes to mind very quickly. I love what those guys are doing, Josh and Brandon and the team over at Montana Knife, and I support them. I buy their stuff. I give a lot of our guests knives, and I gift them to other people. If I go on a hunt, I gift those knives to people, and I buy those to be able to support them. And in return, they're willing to give me a few knives here and there and do a giveaway and share my message and share what we're doing because it's reciprocal. And that's the best part of a network, is that it becomes reciprocal and you can serve each other, you can help each other out. But again, it has to lead with value and you can't keep score with it. All right. Number 4, pick a social media lane. All right. We've got YouTube and we've got Rumble and you've got TikTok and you've got Facebook and you've got the new one, Truth Social and Getter and Twitter and Instagram and probably 36 plus other platforms that you can engage in. What I would suggest to you is that you don't have to do them all immensely well. I've got a really good friend of mine. In fact, I went to Iraq with him in 2005 and 2006, had a good conversation with him just the other day. He's phenomenal on Twitter. His commentary on Twitter is hilarious. It's insightful. It makes you think. You may not agree with it all, but the way that he engages on Twitter is very, very good. And it shows because he's got a large following on Twitter, and people, as I said earlier about having something unique to say, he says some unique things. He shares it in a unique way. He does it in a unique perspective, and people resonate because he's got this audience on Twitter. Now, if you look at our Twitter account, it's not nearly to the degree. And that could be a couple of things. It might just mean that we started later. It might mean that people don't resonate with the way that we message on Twitter. Or it just might mean that what I share in my messaging doesn't lend to that platform as well as, say, Instagram or YouTube, where we have a significantly larger following. So I like Instagram personally. I like the video platform. So YouTube, we are going to be looking at Rumble. I think that's the other one right offhand. So we're going to be looking at alternate platforms, but I know where we're good. And I will do some of these other platforms, but it's going to be ancillary to our major platforms, which currently are Instagram and YouTube. Okay. Because we're good at that. And our information lends to that. So that's why we choose to go that route. So pick a lane, double down on that lane, and then use some of these other social media platforms ancillary to what you're doing. I call it cross-pollination. So I'm going to cross-pollinate from Twitter to Instagram and from Instagram to Facebook and YouTube to Instagram. And I'm going to try to get people to follow us on all of these different platforms. And that way we're tapping into everybody wherever they are. But I always have those main couple of platforms that I use more fully. Okay. The next one is that, and I just wrote here, not everybody's a podcaster. Okay. I know podcasting is the cool thing. I know the people that you likely follow because we've got a self-selecting audience. You're listening to a podcast. So I know the other people that you follow are probably doing podcasts, and that's cool, but you don't have to be a podcaster, right? This isn't the only way to have influence and an impact in the world. Many other ways to do it. Could be YouTube, could be solely on Twitter or Instagram. You could be a phenomenal blogger. Maybe you just want to write books. Maybe you're big into email marketing. Maybe you have a storefront, and so it's brick and mortar. Guys, the point I'm making is that there's an infinite number of ways to build your business around what you're uniquely qualified and gifted to do. I really like being behind the microphone. I like being in front of a camera. And so podcasting and video lends very well to my skill set. Now, I haven't always been great behind a microphone. I haven't always been great in front of a camera, but I had a real interest to learn and to develop my skill set so that now I'm to the point where I am. And granted, I'm not the epitome of perfection when it comes to these mediums, and I will continue to work to improve that. But I know what my lane is, and my lane is podcasting. My lane is video. I'm really good at it, and I'm going to keep doubling down on that. This is part of the reason that we've invested in new camera and lighting equipment, which obviously we're still trying to work through because I see maybe some focusing issues going on or some lighting issues going on. So we're going to work through some of that. But I'm going to dedicate myself to it because this is my lane. You might have a different lane, and it's okay. I can't tell you how many times people have started a podcast because that's what they were quote unquote supposed to do. And they did it for like a month or 2 months and realized they didn't enjoy it, or it was hard, or they didn't like it. And so they fizzle and they fade and they end up doing more damage than good when they could have just stayed in their lane and doubled down their efforts on that front. So pick a lane, whether it's podcasting or something else, roll with it, get really good at it. And then you can start exploring some of these other mediums to try connecting with your audience or the people you're trying to serve. The next, guys, follow your interest, not the dollars. Follow your interest, not the dollars. So many men are looking to chase the dollar, or they'll look and they'll see what we've created and they'll think, well, look, Ryan's created this and he's built this massive organization and he's making X amount of money. And I think I can do that. And so I'm going to do that. There's nothing wrong with that inherently, except for if you're exclusively or solely doing something because somebody else is doing it. It's not going to serve you well. You're going to fizzle out, you're going to burn up, and it's not going to be enjoyable for you. Now, you might take what I've done or somebody else that you've learned from or inspired by and incorporate some of that into your modeling, but don't just follow the money. Do something that you're interested in. So you might look at an element of my business, for example, the Iron Council, that's our digital brotherhood. You don't need to start a men's movement. Maybe you want to talk about archery or hunting or painting or who knows what. And you take an element of our structure or our model, but you apply it to what you are uniquely interested in. If you do that, you're going to be more engaged. You're going to be more committed. You'll be able to stay in the thing for a longer period of time, and the money will inevitably come. There's people doing some weird things out there, and they're making millions and millions of dollars. Like, think about NFTs and that whole market. Now, I know it's a bit more advanced than what some people believe it to be, and there's a lot to it, but it's digital artwork. So do you think that you can't make money adding some other value into the world? Of course you can. And that will come. Look at the way people are making money and incorporate it into what you're passionate and excited about. Don't do it the opposite, which is to follow the money and then hope whatever you have to offer fits into that mold. Do it the right way. Next, be hyper consistent. Consistency is key, guys. You're not going to see results in your life, whether it's from your social media accounts or the amount of people that listen to your podcast or how many people sign up for your emails or how many customers you have or how many hats you sell or how many courses you make available or how many events are sold out. You're not going to see those results immediately. And sometimes what you're doing when you start is you're building the foundation, and it could take you months or even years. When I started Order of Man, it took me about 7 or 8 months before I made my first dollar. How many of you are willing to do that? 7 to 8 months before I made a dollar. And on that eighth month, I believe I had 12 Iron Council members and it was $100. So I made $1,200 on month 8. Okay. Now, obviously we make significantly more than that, but it's taken time. I decided when I started the Order of Man podcast that I wasn't even going to consider changing it or throwing in the towel until at least 100 episodes or 2 years. So I was committed to doing this for 2 years. Now, fortunately, I found out long before 2 years that I was in the right lane and this is what I wanted to be doing, but I was committed. And occasionally I'll have other people ask me, hey, Ryan, what's your exit strategy? And where would you like this thing to go? And, I think about goals and I think about my vision for the future, especially with this organization. And I have ideas about where I'd like to see it go. But at the end of the day, I have no exit strategy. I have no desire to leave or to sell the business or walk away from it at some point. That goes to my previous point about passion and things I'm excited about. But also, I'm committed. Guys, I'm all in. Not for the next 2 months or 2 years or even 20 years. Like, I'm all in. I have planted my flag. And what that allows me to do is be consistent in the wake of not experiencing the results that I would like to experience. And that desire is skewed at times because we don't really know what is realistic as far as what we can expect for performance. So it is important that you have other people in your life who are to the place that you want to go when you're talking with them so they can paint a realistic picture about what it'll take. Because you're always going to overestimate your abilities and you're going to underestimate how long it will take you to achieve the results that you want. You need somebody in your corner that says, whoa, 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 slow down. Here's what it's going to take. Here's what you need to do. The pitfalls that you're experiencing are normal. It's a normal part of this. Just keep going. And that's what I mean when I say be consistent. Next is, it looks like I've got an extra one here. Okay, cool. So I said 8. I think there's actually 9. Next is look for trends from your audience. So the trends that you see coming up in Facebook groups or on Instagram, or questions people are asking, or solutions they're looking for, those are solutions that you can provide to them. Okay, this is how you start to build out your digital product list. If people are asking about, hey, do you guys have any shirts or hats or merchandise? And you start to get that quite a bit, and there's a trend there, you might look for opportunities to sell some shirts. If people are looking for a course or an information on a particular subject, that might become a little book, a small book that you sell for $5 or $10, right? If people want to get together face to face because of an expertise or a skill set you have, that might turn into a course, a live or a digital course that you can make available. But the beauty of this is you have a product that you don't have to guess as to whether or not people are interested in. They're telling you, this is what I want. This is the solution. Now, I will say, take this with a grain of salt, because what people say they want and what they'll actually pay for are not always in alignment, right? So if I say, hey guys, would you be interested in hats? And I make a hat, I may get crickets when I make it, which could mean they weren't really interested in it at all, because it's easier to commit to saying you want something than actually purchasing it. Or it could mean that your hats don't look good and you need to go back to the drawing board on that, but you need to analyze that. Okay. Because again, it's not always aligned with people, what they say they want versus what they're actually willing to pay for. So be wary of that, but also look for those trends. And that's why looking for the trends is important. If one person says, hey, I want you to make a Frisbee with the Order of Man logo on it, and one person says that, like, I'm probably not going to do that. If 200 people all of a sudden said, hey, Order of Man is big in the Frisbee circuit, and it'd be rad to have some really nice Frisbees with the logo, and I'm getting 200 people or 2,000 people saying that, okay, well, that's something I need to look into. And that mitigates some of the risk associated with developing a product or paying for merchandise, because you already have a pre-built sales channel for these offerings. I'm going to give you a bonus because I was thinking about it on what kind of offerings you could present. So I'll come back to that in a minute. The next one, and this is the last point that I planned, and I'm going to give you that bonus, is you guys have to ask for the sale. Or you have to ask for the sale. I've talked with countless individuals who have a hard time making the connection between adding and offering value to other people and then charging money for it. And occasionally I'll have somebody reach out to me and say, well, Ryan, you're making this much money. Aren't you doing it out of the goodness of your heart? Okay, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous thing to say. Because what if I turn the tables and I asked you why you go to work? Aren't you just doing it because you like working, or you get value in working, or you're doing it at the goodness of your heart? No, of course not. Now, it might be partially that, but also partially you got to put food on the table, and you have a roof over you and your wife and your children's head that you need to pay for. And you want to have experiences, and you want to take money and you want to reinvest back into the business, or you want to donate to charitable organizations that are important to you, right? Like, those are things you want to do, and that requires financial capital. And it's not at odds for me to want to serve men in a positive and constructive way and then ask for a value exchange. I'm going to make this thing for you, like a hat, for example. This is a good example. I'm going to make this hat, and I'm going to make it available, and I'm going to charge you for it. And if you think it's worth what I'm charging because you want to support the movement, or you like the way it looks, or it's a reminder to you about how you want to live your life, then you pay for it. And that's a value exchange. That's a fair exchange. There's no manipulation. There's no coercion. There's no force in that. It's a voluntary transaction between two individuals who believe they're getting the better end of the deal. That's how economies work effectively. So guys, never shy away from making money, from asking for the sale, because if you don't, you're never going to build up the capital you need to thrive, and you're never going to build up the capital that you need to be able to continue to build out this business, like investing in new camera equipment, or going on a trip to meet with somebody important, or building out the barn like we have, which has cost us a lot of money to be able to run our events. It takes money to do that. And I don't see the disconnect. I never have between doing something that's important and something I want to help with, and also making a boatload of money doing it. And on that same note, here's the bonus I said I was going to give to you. There's a lot of different offerings as you're building a digital brand. Okay, there's merchandise. So I've got my hat on. I think I've got my Order a Man shirt on today. So that's one way. You have merchandise. Books are another way. Conferences and events are another way. Live events, even digital events. Courses and programs are another way. Affiliates and commission. You know, if you reach out to a company and you're sharing about that company, they might pay you a percentage of each sale that you make. Another one is coaching. And we've done that in the past. Guys have said, hey, Ryan, how did you build this out? And we built a program. It was a course called Tribe Builder, where we actually taught them how to build a tribe like we have. We also did another one called Podcast Pro, where we taught them how to become professional podcasters, meaning making money by podcasting. These are all ways that you can earn money. These are products that you can offer. And we hit just about every one of them. I do individual coaching. I do group coaching. I have a membership. I think I lost video with you guys. Hold on. This is part of the problem of testing out these new systems here. I'm going to try to turn on some different video and see if that works. Yeah, obviously that video is not nearly as good, but it'll work for now. So we use all kinds of different, I got a little sidetracked there, all kinds of different products. So coaching, memberships, we have our events is one thing we do. We have our merchandise. So I have a broad array of services and product offerings to hit for anything that anybody might be interested in. Okay. So guys, this is how you build a digital brand. Another thing, don't be afraid of failure. Everybody's afraid of failure. You can see if you were watching this, if you are listening, you don't know, my new camera just switched off. It must have some sort of timer on it. And now I'm on this backup camera, which is just the camera on my computer. You know, a lot of people would be like, oh, I'm embarrassed. And they try to edit all that out and hope nobody saw. Like, we make mistakes, you know, and life is a process of experimentation, and some things go right and some things don't work out the way that you want them to. And so what? You know, you learn, you improve, you get better. And the next time I do it, I'll figure out what the limit is on this recording, and we won't have to worry about that. Okay. So guys, that's my message for you today. How to build a digital brand. I gave you 9 tips and the bonus. And then I also told you about failure. So I gave you 2 bonuses today. Let me recap here real quick. Number 1, niche it down to the audience you want to talk with. Number 2, have something truly unique to say, and say it in a unique, powerful way. Number 3, become a master networker. Number 4, pick a social media lane and use that as your primary, and all the other social media outlets as ancillary to that by cross-pollinating is a concept we talked about. Next, not everyone is a podcaster. So maybe you write a book, maybe you're an email marketer, maybe you have a blog, maybe you only do video, maybe you only do audio. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. What number am I on? 2, 3, 4, 5. We're on 6. Follow interest, your interest, not the dollars. Most people do it the other way around. Number 7, be hyper consistent. Commit fully to doing this for a long period of time. Number 8, look for trends that you can base your product offerings on. Number 9, ask for the sale. And then the bonus was all of the different offerings: coaching, affiliates, live events, merchandise, courses, digital products, all ways that you can make money doing this. And then that last little bonus, because I messed up here, is don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to screw up. Don't even hide it. I don't need to hide the fact. I don't need to splice this together. I don't need to record the second half of the video so people won't know that I screwed up. No, you just own it, and then you figure it out and you make it better next time. Guys, I want you to build a digital brand because I think there's people out there that can be served by what you might be able to share with them. And who are you to keep quiet when you have something to share of value and something that could impact a lot of people in a positive way? All right, guys, I'm going to go back to the drawing board a little bit on this camera issue, and we'll work it out. Until then, we will be back next week. Got a great interview coming up next week as well, and some others that are coming down the pike that you're going to be blown away with. But until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.